Erling Haaland cannot stay out of the news. Why should he? To be fair, he's been insane. So The Athletic reported today, after a couple of questions that Pep Guardiola has to bat away in recent weeks about Haaland's release clause. This was a thing even before he moved to City, with some outlets suggesting that he could essentially use City as a bit of a stepping stone for 3 seasons. And then The Athletic reported today that Haaland has a €200 million release clause. And it got me thinking. It got me thinking about release clauses. It got me thinking about Haaland. Let's set the table, first off, for just how insane this man has been. I mean, it's well documented. I've been astounded, like many of you, I imagine, not just this season, but when he burst onto the scene at Salzburg, and then he managed to do it at Dortmund, where he had a more than or better than a goal per game record in the season and a half, I think he was at Dortmund for. And this season with City, he's played 12 games and he's hit 20 goals in all competitions already. Just some stats. And I'm using FBref here, and I just love how they give you stuff in percentiles and whatnot. So he's in the 96th percentile for goals that he scored per 90, at 1.8 goals per 90. Non-penalty goals, 1.68, the 96th percentile. What's another good one? We've got XG assisted, the 63rd percentile. Non-penalty XG plus XG, the 96th percentile. His shooting stats, barring shots on target, interestingly, where he's in the 88th percentile, he's above the 96th percentile. Even some of his passing stats, his medium passing completion percentage is a lot higher than I would have expected, 79th percentile. All that is to say that the guy's insane, he's an alien, he's a robot, this, that, and the other. Whatever you want to use, he's been pretty remarkable. The reason why I think this story is pretty interesting is because I think that if this release clause is correct, we could finally have readjusted football or player value, essentially. That when PSG bought Neymar from Barcelona, they essentially broke football. Again, another well-documented story, but Barcelona had set a release clause of in excess of €200 million for Neymar, believing that sum would be too great for any one team to pay. PSG obviously wanted to throw their weight around, went off and paid it, I believe, in full. Not just in full, I mean up front even. And the ripple effect of that was long-lasting and was pretty huge. So obviously, shortly after that, Coutinho goes to Barcelona for over 130 million. Barcelona signed Moussa Dembele from Dortmund for a huge sum. You look at the caliber of player who was signed before Neymar and a worse player who was signed after Neymar, and it's pretty staggering. I think the poster child for that is probably Harry Maguire, who went to Man United from Leicester for £80 million. And the argument has always been that you don't have to focus on transfer values, it's just how much the selling team is willing to sell their very valued player to the buying team. And that's obviously true, but it is massively distorted by what the market is saying. And when you see how much money Liverpool are able to get for Coutinho, for example, in that situation, if you're Crystal Palace and you have Wilfried Zaha, you think, well, there's no way that Philippe Coutinho is twice as good as Wilfried Zaha. So yeah, we can sell him for around 80 million. Going off tangent slightly, but the point is that Manchester City don't need any money, right? For obvious reasons. Now, to set a release clause at 200 million for Erling Haaland, your first thought would be, well, that's really cheap. especially considering the fact that City were able to get Haaland for 51 million this summer. He seems to be criminally undervalued with respect to his unprecedented, even in this era, level of output. But what it could mean is it resets everything. I think 200 million euros for Erling Haaland is going to sound weird in a normal world, in a normal 2022 or 2024 as it would be by then. 200 million pounds for the best goal scorer in the world is fine. I think that's good. And if Real Madrid or anyone else buys Erling Haaland for 200 million, maybe that just calms things down slightly.